Hey, what's up, guys? My name is Devontae, and I sacrifice my time so you don't have to. So, AEW, yet again, in the spotlight by people in the business that actually knew how to run the business. Oh, Devontae, Eric Bischoff, he ended up putting WCW out of business. No, that's called AOL and the Time Warner merger. We've been through this 1,000,000,001 times, but whatever suits your narrative, I guess, right? Nevertheless, though, Eric Bischoff took to the shed, to the woodshed, to the old woodshed, Mercedes Mone, and he spanked her bottom. Whatever bottom actually exists, he spanked it, right? And of course, the AEW fans got upset. And I mean, what else is new, right? Sky's blue, grass is green, water's wet, Naomi has a delectable asshole. These things are just super obvious, and you just come to just accept the truth, right? So check this out real quick. I'm going to read this transcript for you. First, I'll give you the context, then I'll read what Eric Bischoff said, and then I'll give my analysis in regards to what he said, even though you're reading the title right now, and I'm talking about Mercedes Mone, so you kind of have a clue where I'm going with this. While speaking on his 83 Weeks podcast, by the way, link is down in the description box below as always, Eric Bischoff talked about how WWE effectively utilized Mone's strengths while managing her limitations, producing her around those limitations. In contrast, Tony Khan gave Mercedes Mone the ball in creative control. Bischoff pointed out that in WWE, Banks' promo skills were not given focus because WWE recognized that she wasn't strong in that area. He criticized the decision to give her creative control in AEW, noting that her promo skills have not improved and have actually hurt her reputation. Bischoff also mentioned that if Khan had reviewed his own data and analytics, he would see that the approach is not working. He expressed doubt about the value of the substantial contract and creative control given to Mone. And I quote EGE himself. But WWE knew how to utilize Sasha Banks' strengths, but more importantly, WWE understood her limitations and produced her around those limitations. What does Tony Khan do? He gives her the ball and gives her creative control. For some reason, Mercedes Mone, previously Sasha Banks, feels like she's great. She's a great promo. One of the reasons I never heard her do promos in WWE is what WWE knew better. That WWE knew better. She cannot carry her promos. She should not be allowed to open her mouth. I mean, she can, but for other reasons. Every time she opens her mouth, her stock goes down. And it's to the point now where I don't know if she's worth anything. You think Camille's getting a rub because she came out there? By the way, did you watch the match? Of course, Mercedes. It's all about Camille. This is her big moment. So reportedly, she has creative control. And if that is true, she apparently thinks she can handle a lot of dialogue. She's wrong. And Tony Khan doesn't have the balls or the ability or both to say, hey, Mercedes, let's back this up a little bit. Because I'm a data analyst. That's my thing. People, Dave Meltzer and everybody talks about how great I am at data analytics and providing that to the NFL, blah, blah, blah. Which may all be true. But clearly he doesn't have the data ability to research his own data and look at his own analytics. Because he did, he'd be going, this isn't working. She's horrible. She was introduced poorly. The setup was horrible. It wasn't horrible, it was just not effective. But when she started talking, her stock went down. And then it goes on because Eric Bischoff started talking about Jennifer Pepperman, which is, I guess, Mercedes Mone's right-hand woman, from what I understand. Reportedly $5 million annually with a limited number of dates and a 7-figure contract reportedly for Jen Pepperman. Holy shit, that's crazy. Wait, Jen Pepperman got $5 million a year? That's fucking wild. Oh, sorry, continuing on though. Eric Bischoff says, who's a friend of mine and I think the world of her. I don't know if that's a fact. I have not had any conversations with Jen. I would not compromise her position or her relationship with anybody by communicating with her while she's working for AEW. I have too much respect for her. Regardless of how talented Jen Pepperman is, she is a writer, a director, and probably in this case a producer as well. She can go out and cut promos for Mercedes. She can't grab the mic and do it. No matter how good of a writer or a director she is, if the performer, actor, actress, or wrestler doesn't have any talent, it doesn't matter who's writing or directing. The fact that Tony gave creative control to someone who has never demonstrated the ability to be good at creative, because she certainly didn't have a creative control in WWE, and to spend $5 million a year plus on the talent and give that talent creative control. Oh, I guess he means Sasha has $5 million. But he said Jen, maybe they typed this wrong. I don't know, because now it sounds like he's saying there's no way they both have $5 million contracts. continuing on, that confused me for a minute. And then once you do realize that she's going to drive her own character, and by the way, your company, into the ditch and not do anything about it. So that was Eric Bischoff talking about Sasha Banks, going over the fact that she's a terrible character. I mean, she doesn't really have a well-defined character. I mean, we call her the boss, or I guess in this case nowadays, the CEO, right? But what is she the CEO of? Like, do we have vignettes where she's running her own businesses? Like, is there some type of character development that's aligning her with something that she's running? I mean, what is she the CEO of, right? What is she the boss of? What is any of this, right? It's just platitudes being said for the sake of being said. Like, what is Mercedes Moné's character, right? That hasn't been completely fleshed out by AEW yet. Just because you're spending money on WWE talent doesn't automatically mean that WWE talent's going to deliver in the way of what you feel that they're going to deliver in. The upside to a WWE talent is that they have a built-in audience. And also, one would think they have at least practice. They have at least a lot of time put within them, not just on television, but they themselves understand how to work television, which is incredibly important. I think most of you guys actually understand that. But with Mercedes Moné, like, even though all that, you have to admit, is built within Mercedes Moné and it comes with the territory, and I've been saying this for the longest, and I'll talk more about her contract in a little bit, you just picked her up just because she was with WWE. You picked her up because she was a name from WWE without doing your due diligence and really mapping out what you had prepared for her going in the future. Like I said, it's not a bad thing to take WWE talent who happen to be somewhat big names. It's bad when you do it consistently because it kind of feels like your draw in that sense is just feeding off of the WWE name in itself. But when you're doing it for a semi-big talent like a Mercedes Moné, formerly Sasha Banks, that in itself is not a bad thing. You know what I mean? Like, you're going to want somebody to kind of pick up from the free agent pool that you feel can make a difference within your company, which I will admit and say that at least from a name standpoint, name value-wise, Sasha Banks, Mercedes Moné, she does bring that to the table. She could be a game changer within your company. But to sign the talent for as much money as Tony Khan has signed for Sasha Banks and to bring her into the company and to put her into the position that she's currently in right now. See, Eric is right talking about her promo abilities and all the things that she lacks that comes with that territory. But I don't think he's really hammering it because there's more things wrong with Sasha Banks. It's not just her promo abilities. It's also just how unlikable of a person she happens to be. I'm not talking about just from a heel standpoint, but I mean unlikable from the standpoint that we know how she kind of carries herself around fans for the most part, which, like I said, and I said it in the past, that in itself, although I detest Sasha Banks from that perspective, is not something that I would necessarily call detrimental in regards to, you know, maybe using it to build a character. But if you're not going to use that aesthetic in order to build a legitimate character, set a premise for that character, to put them out there in order to run some type of story, then really what's the point in the end of the day, right? Now you just have a character who is a heel, but at the same time, because they're not doing anything that's really attracting anything in regards to your attention, you just have a superstar on the roster who's known for having a terrible fucking attitude, right? And you're not making any utilization out of that terrible fucking attitude. Like I said, putting one person on the segment one time in order to carry something one time throughout the night, every week one time, that's not good enough. You need to maximize that ability. You need to maximize that potential. Like I talked about in my video when talking about the 3 factors as to why professional wrestling happens to be in the problem that it's in right now as far as viability, that apparently people are locked in as far as closed-mindedness by pretending or at least thinking to themselves that professional wrestling is at its most popular, it's ever been. That's not true, not even close to being true. Professional wrestling right now at its peak is 2 million fans. You go back in the past and you look at Raw and Nitro on a single Monday, it was over 10 million fans. And for people who like to say things like look at social media, because that's what's currently, you know, the biggest that's the biggest audience for attention nowadays in comparison to cable television, which admittedly is dying. I look at that and I counter that by saying, okay, then where would, let's just say hypothetically, the Attitude Era happened to exist, say, you know, today. Where would social media be right now? If social media existed, say, in 1998, where would the numbers be at that point in time compared to where social media is at right now? No matter how you want to split the argument, professional wrestling is not popular right now. It's only doing big numbers in the sense of as far as monetary is considered, is because they have a consistent audience. It's an audience that's built in. They're super duper loyal, and it's just consistent. It's safe. It's really, really safe. You having a base that's showing a pattern of 2 million fans on a consistent basis. Most television networks, which we can admit already that it's dying, cable television is dying, 2 million fans guaranteed, 1.5 on, outside of broadcast guaranteed every fucking week at its lowest 1.5, 1.4 at its bare. No, come on, bro. Any company's going to want to do business with you. And outside of the United States, they're still popular somewhat to a lesser degree, obviously, compared to in the past, but they're still popular. Clearly, that's what's going to actually be the drawing factor in regards to the popularity of professional wrestling. Not the superstars that are currently there at the moment, because they're not proving anything in regards to their worth. You see the audiences every single week, whether it's AEW, whether it's WWE. Okay, either you have WWE and they're mainly quiet for the majority. Now, granted, they're sellout tickets, but they're quiet for the majority of the action. Or you go to AEW and you look at their fans and there's nobody there, right? It's like the opposite. WWE, a bunch of fans packing the arena. They're all fucking quiet. AEW, their fans are loud. All 10 of them. You know what I mean? And to have someone like Sasha Banks that you're going to pay so much money for to bring to your roster in order to have something of a substantial boost, like, it's clearly not working. And you're paying so much money for something that I'm not feeling that you're getting a return on the investment in, right? Right? See, it's a lot worse for AEW, obviously, when having to bring in a talent such as Sasha Banks. No matter how much money a Tony Khan is making at the end of the day, or his dad, that's still a lot of money you're spending on one given talent. And you're not really seeing any results. The same can be said about all the talents, to be quite frank, because no one is necessarily drawn in AEW. Seriously, once you get to the Big Bang Theory and that shit leads in, they start to decline drastically after that point, right? Rarely do they hit over what Big Bang Theory led them in with. And Mercedes Mone is not doing that either. This just happens to be the case. So why are you spending so much money on a talent that's not proven their worth? Why? It doesn't make any sense to me. And to make matters even worse when it comes to her, like I said, with the contract situation, you bring her in, you spend all this money on her, and then you immediately put her in the mid-card. It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to me. Like, you could have easily, especially with what's going on right now, it doesn't hurt to have 3 women on the Wembley Stadium card, in my opinion. It really doesn't hurt at all, especially with some of the matches that you're going to have on there regardless. It's going to probably be like 18 million fucking matches. It doesn't hurt to have 3 women matches on one given card. You could have easily had Sasha Banks, or what's her name, Mariah May, screw Toni Storm out of her title to have the belt put on Sasha Banks so she can be the women's champion. What's her name? Willow Nightingale could have still held on to the TBS championship, and she could have feuded with Chris Statlander with the TBS championship. Toni Storm and Mariah May can have a personal grudge feud without any need for a title because it's not really necessary. Could even put them in a gimmick match if you really wanted to. And Sasha Banks could have feuded with Britt Baker over the women's championship. At least that would have been the common sense approach that I would have went towards. Instead, no matter how you look at Toni Storm, no matter how you look at Mariah May, and don't get it twisted, at least for AEW standards, they're okay as far as their feud is considered. Their name value is not on the level of Sasha Banks. You know what I mean? And to be quite frank, one may make an argument, it's still not to the level of Britt Baker even. Yet you have these two fighting for the mid-card championship, and you have the 2 lower names fighting for the world championship. But you're paying this woman $5 million. It just makes no sense to me at all. But to be quite frank, also, does it really have to make any sense? Because everything that we're talking about right now with Mercedes Mone has just been complete trash. Everything from her booking, as far as being inconsistent and making absolutely no sense because of Tony Khan's, not doing his due diligence in regards to knowing what she brings to the table as far as her actual talent or ability. As a wrestler, I don't know what the fuck you people see in Mercedes Mone. She botches in every single fucking match. She moves incredibly fucking slow. Her finisher, if it hits even like 9, the 2 out of 10 times it actually hits, it looks fucking terrible. I'm not even saying that she's a terrible wrestler in the sense that she can't move or do anything like that, but I am saying that she brings nothing to the table. She wrestles like an above average diva from 2008. Like, she has nothing going from her from an in-ring talent standpoint. And then when you look at her as far as her body of work is considered, in regards to her talent as a promo, I mean, Eric Bischoff said it best right here. She's never cut a good promo ever in her fucking life. Whether she was Sasha Banks or whether she was Mercedes Mone, she is horrendous on the microphone. Either she is repeating herself, like I said, I don't even call her Mercedes Mone anymore. She's now Mercedes Harris. Or, like I said, you can call her Kamala Monet, however you like to refer to her. She repeats herself on a consistent basis whenever she talks in the promo. Not saying the same words, although she does that sometimes too, but she repeats the same circumstances, but in a reworded way. Look at my Dynamite review if you want any proof of that. I go over her entire segment with Britt Baker. One of the cringiest, worst promos I've ever seen out of a woman, and that's saying something. She doesn't bring anything to the table. Are you really sitting here and telling me that her name value is worth $5 million? Even for the most diehard Mercedes Moné fan, are you really going to sit here and tell me that her name value is worth $5 million? Honest to God. Honest to God. You know, I remember, and I think I talked about this in the past, but just to reiterate this one more time, I remember this story Jim Ross was telling, and I'm pretty sure you guys heard this before, where Triple H, you know, he was so fucking obsessed with wanting to be looked at no different than Rock and Austin, right? He didn't even necessarily care about the money. He just wanted to know if he was getting paid the same as Rock and Austin. It didn't matter to him. It didn't matter to him. Was his guarantee the same as Rock and Austin? It could have been $500,000. It could have been $200,000. He just wanted to know, was he on par with those guys in the eyes of the office? And Jim Ross said, yeah. And guess how much Triple H got paid? As far as his guarantee is considered, $1 million. $1 million. That's according to Jim Ross. $1 million given to Triple H in 1999. You have people like Mercedes Moné getting 5 times that money. Are you guys telling me that Mercedes Moné is on par with Triple H in 1999 of all things? Triple H in 1999, one of the best heels in the business, is on par with a mid-card women's champion in 2024 on a second-rate promotion. Does that make any sense to anybody? Logic would probably tell you no, that's fucking insane. Right? But not to Tony Khan. Not to any. Look, I'm not even blaming Mercedes Moné's fans. I'm not. You notice throughout this entire thing, I haven't shit on any of her fans, any of her stands. You guys have a specific way as far as how you look at her. I don't see it, but apparently you guys see it. There are certain talents that I like that you guys might not see my point of view in regards to as to why I like them. I'm not going to judge you as to why you like that superstar, at least in the at least within this scope of me calling her garbage. Because again, they're all opinions in the end of the day. You might have your own specific reasons as to why you like her. But I think something that can at least be somewhat as close to objective, that can even be perceived as objective, that is technically an opinion. Sasha Banks is not worth she's not worth the paper I will wipe my shit with in order to flush inside the toilet. Let alone the contract that is printed on for her to fucking put her signature on. That's ludicrous. That makes no sense whatsoever. Anybody out there, can you tell me what Mercedes brings to the table? Like, even for her fans and her stance, what does she bring to the table? Sex appeal? I mean, she's not my cup of tea. She's a little bit too, frail, a little bit too skinny. She's not ugly, but at the same time, just not my cup of tea. But maybe you might think that. I don't know. But let's put the sex appeal of stuff to the side, because it's not as if she can utilize that in any way possible anyways, nor do I think she will want to regardless. Is it her promo ability? Is it her marketability? Is it her character? Is it any storyline that she has participated in within the last year or two since she left WWE? Is it her in-ring stuff? Are there not better in-ring talents by a mile? I could probably name you at least, 10 wrestlers in AEW alone who are better wrestlers than Sasha Banks. Promo ability? No, not even fucking close. I can name you at least 500 who's better than Sasha Banks as far as promo ability is considered. She's cringe as fuck. She has no charisma for the most part. She comes out to the same shit saying CEO, and she does a cringy little stripper dance. It's the same shit all the fucking time with no improvement whatsoever, and nothing that at least coincides with the reason as to why I believe she should be in the position that she's currently in right now outside of the name value stuff. Eric Bischoff is not wrong. Sasha Banks, Mercedes Mone, whatever you want to call her, she is trash. She's garbage. And to make matters, like I said, even worse, just to revert back, don't want to put a little Mercedes here, but I kind of really have to emphasize this. Maybe I can look at this in a different manner. Maybe I can at least turn my head a little bit and acknowledge that she's garbage, but at least say to myself, there's room for potential, right? I'm going to root for her to get better. But it's her arrogance. And I'm not talking about her arrogance that obviously supersedes her and it's shown through her character on television, or lack thereof, if you will. But it's the fact that you look at Mercedes Mone outside of the wrestling stuff and she's a trash human. I mean, for what we can see at the very least. Maybe she, I don't know, goes to Make-A-Wish foundations that I've never heard of. You know, I've never seen her make a Make-A-Wish or anything like that, or something along the lines of that. Nothing. Clearly, she doesn't like her fans. You seen the video I made a couple of months ago, almost a year ago, as far as how she interacted at that contract signing. You hear all the horror stories as far as how she treats her fans. You seen that she just divorced her husband not too long ago, and I'm not even hearing a specific reason as to why. You know what I mean? They say they separated like 4 years ago or something like that, right? Not my personal business, but I'm just saying. It just adds on to the lore of Mercedes Mone. I mean, I just don't see the appeal about her at all. I see no appeal upon Mercedes Mone, and yet you signed her to $5 million. But I guess, and you hear how she talks. Almost every interview. Go back to what she was saying in the beginning before she even, officially debuted in AEW as far as her in-ring action is considered. The more and more she talks, it almost seems like she's only there just to prove a point to WWE that, hey, I can be a somebody, even though she hasn't proven that yet. But it's like she's literally there just to, hey, WWE, over here, watch what I can do. And when I come back, you better treat me better. That's literally what I see whenever she talks. But this is the person that you want to put on the pedestal, Tony. It's not shitting on AEW as much as it is just, I don't know, am I not stating common sense here? Outside of her AEW fanboys or stans who are going to get upset, but I mean, that's just par for the course for any fucking stan culture nowadays. I don't know, maybe I'm the crazy one here, but let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. How do you feel about the thoughts, given by Eric Bischoff? How do you feel in regards to how I talked about her? How do you feel about her contract, knowing what she's been doing as of late? I don't think anything I said was really out of pocket. I mean, people may take the negative connotations that I'm blasting her with as being, horrible, or, oh, Devontae, you're going to get the generalizations. You're a sexist, you're a misogynist, you hate all women, all this other bullshit, even though I'm focusing on one person. I get it, man. Nothing that I'm going to say is really going to change your mind in regards to anything I'm saying currently at the moment. It's just that, I don't know. I see Mercedes Mone, and I don't see what the big deal is overall. Think she's trash, think she's cringe. There's nothing about her that seems appealing. And it's not as if I haven't made a video like this before. I've talked about her being overrated in the past. I made a full-on video saying that she was cringe, like what? Not even just the AEW video I did as far as the review a couple of months ago, but when she first debuted. But I mean, like back in 2022 or 2021, I made a video saying that she was cringe as fuck. This is now me looking at her months ahead of time, seeing what she's been doing so far, and apparently her having creative control and all the stuff in her favor. And she not only sucks, but she's worse than she's ever been before. You can't blame anybody but Sasha Banks for that. I mean, you guys will try, but you really can't. Again, maybe I'm the crazy one here, but let me know if I'm crazy down in the comment section below. And like I said, man, nothing hard feelings against her stance. Just stating the objective, well, I guess it's not really objective, but stating the as close to facts as I could possibly state without getting too fucking crazy with the insults. But as always, my name is Devontae. Let me know your thoughts down in the comment section below. Look at that shit. Every goddamn time I can never mute this shit. Fuck, stupid ass phone. Deuces, P, eyes.